Zelensky won. At the winning man. Yahaya na Yaya. Yahaya na Yaya.
Yeah.
For joining us. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I am Sandra BOAHEN. Let's start from a very sad development. Now, a shocking discovery was made on Friday, February 28th, when the Ghana National Fire Service uncovered a nearly decomposed body of a young woman at Sunyani Magazine in the Bono region. The body was found in a septic tank, and preliminary reports suggest that the victim was murdered by her boyfriend approximately 3 weeks ago. The Sunyani Municipal Fire Station, led by Station Officer Yaya, later joined by Regional Operations Officer Theo.
Means of extinguishing, so we use the foam concentrate to be able to subside the fire.
In other stories, President John Dramani Mahama has announced plans to airlift 5,000 Ghanaian pilgrims to Mecca for Hajj this year. Speaking on the matter at the sword cutting ceremony for the Hajj village on Friday, February 28th, President Mahama emphasized the importance of adhering to the set deadline for payment and ensuring that all necessary arrangements are in place. He highlighted that a pre-finance arrangement has been facilitated with the local bank, ensuring that all deposits for accommodation, transport, and other facilities have been paid.
Further, after we pay off the millions of dollars of debts that have accumulated in Saudi Arabia from earlier Hajj operations, this year we intend to airlift exactly 5,000 pilgrims to the Holy Land. And the task force has announced 13th March as the deadline for payment. We have facilitated a pre-finance arrangement with one of the local banks. And so I'm pleased as I speak to you to announce that all deposits for accommodation, transport, and other facilities have been paid. I've instructed the Hajj task force that they should cut off at exactly 5,000 and not go beyond 5,000. We don't want the previous situation where people rush with late payments and we are unable to airlift them and become complaining. Further,
away from the NDC, the opposition New Patriotic Party has announced plans to deliver its own true State of the Nation address on March 4, 2025. This move comes after President John Dramani Mahama's State of the Nation address on February 27, 2025, which the NPP claims failed to address key national concerns and misrepresented Ghana's current state. According to the NPP, President Mahama's address omitted critical issues such as frequent power outages affecting businesses and livelihoods, increased security concerns particularly in the northern regions, rising cases of illegal mining accompanied by violent incidents and mass cancellation of public sector recruitment and appointment exacerbating unemployment. The NPP's address to be delivered by its leadership in Parliament, led by Alexander Fenyomarkin, aims to provide Ghanaians with a factual and objective assessment of the country's situation. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has emphasized the importance of moving beyond political differences and historical baggage to foster Ghana's progress. He stressed that Ghanaians must break free from mental slavery and take charge of their own emancipation.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin made these remarks at the opening ceremony of a 3-day orientation program for members of Parliament held at the Volta Serene Hotel in Ho. The event aimed to prepare lawmakers, especially new members, for their roles over the next 4 years. Interestingly, the minority group had refused to attend the program, citing concerns over the event's cost. Alban Bagbin expressed disappointment at the decision, highlighting the importance of the orientation for Ghana's democracy.
We lost a very great opportunity because the turbulence of Parliament once again has shown. I only saw a WhatsApp message last night that our colleagues, our brothers and sisters of the New Patriotic Party have opted out, giving a reason that is completely unacceptable. There is good reason why we choose venues for this. It's not partisan. There's always a search party, and they go around, discuss with the various hospitalities, look at the cost components, the facilities, their suitability, the convenience of your movement.
The Volta Serene Hotel was chosen as the venue after a thorough evaluation of various factors, according to the Speaker. Expressing his concerns about Ghana's overly partisan politics, the Speaker emphasized the importance of moving beyond political differences and historical baggage to foster Ghana's progress.
And to have 276 members of Parliament and staff, because the staff work with you. And if you don't build the capacity of the staff, the institution, they will not be in the position to serve you, to provide what you need to be able to satisfy the immeasurable, unlimited demands of the country, of your people, and of the world. So it's usually a large number of people. The reason is that the cost component is too much, and they don't want to be part of that.
Speaker Bagbin's call to action highlights the importance of unity and cooperation in Ghana's development.
On corruption-related issues, the Special Prosecutor K.C. Ajaben has called for significant constitutional reforms and a shift in national mindset to strengthen the fight against corruption and state capture. He said these measures were crucial to ensuring the country's development.
Speaking at the 5th Annual Constitution Day public lecture in Accra, the Special Prosecutor proposed embedding the Office of the Special Prosecutor within the Constitution to safeguard its independence and operational effectiveness. He argued that the current legal framework under Section 79 of Act 959 is ambiguous and unnecessarily complex, creating confusion rather than clarity.
The quest should be an entrenchment of the fight against corruption in the Constitution, a retrofitting and full equipment and insulation of the foremost anti-corruption law enforcement institution from political marginalization and reprisals. Second, we've gone over this, it's become an overbeaten path, but we need it. We must enact a comprehensive Corrupt Practices Act to frontally address all forms of corruption and corruption-related activities. This will afford us the opportunity to clearly and concisely set out what we mean by corruption and corruption-related offenses. The present formulation under Section 79 of Act 959 is unhelpful and circuitous. It engenders confusion.
This legislation, he suggested, will clearly define corruption and related offenses, providing a structured and direct approach to tackling all forms of corrupt practices while eliminating legal loopholes. He acknowledged the significant challenges in fighting corruption, emphasizing the necessity of public support and collective sacrifice.
We did not define sexual intercourse in a natural manner. Go figure it out yourself. You should be able to. Don't ask me, I don't know. But that is what we do to ourselves. Why adopt such a formulation when we can simply describe the act? Similar thing we have done with the definition of corruption and corruption-related offenses. Even me, a special prosecutor, I don't know. It's confusing. Because you have to go about and figure and tear things out just to decipher what this code means.
He highlighted deliberate effort to undermine the work of the OSP, including calls from influential quarter to dissolve the office.
In fairness, the questions themselves were not altogether problematic. After all, we must carefully examine the utility of the creation of institutions. However, the result was the creation of an institution with never before seen powers and mandate. Fine. Yet, with a plethora of half-hearted statutory provisions which effectively tie its hands behind it. Along come the death knells. Not infrequently, we hear calls, a lot of the time, from very high places, that the OSP should be scrapped and that it serves no useful purpose.
You're still watching our Wake Up News live on Globe Television. Coming up on the program, the government's prudent public debt management measures yield impressive results, according to Finance Minister Dr. Casey Latoforson. More stories coming up right after the break. Just stay. Welcome back from the break. The Mahama government's prudent public debt management measures have yielded impressive results with a significant drop in the 91-day Treasury bill, that is the T-bill rate, according to Finance Minister Dr. Casey Latoforson. According to recent data from Dr. Latoforson, the 91-day T-bill rate has plummeted from 28.34% to 20.79% in just 50 days, a clear indication of a strong investor confidence in the Ghanaian economy. The Mahama government has also demonstrated its commitment to responsible borrowing with a net borrowing of 7.1 billion Ghana cedis, primarily used to service the maturing debt inherited from the previous administration. According to Dr. Latoforson, the government has rejected 30.2 billion Ghana cedis worth of T-bill bills while accepting 59.5 billion Ghana cedis, mainly rollovers of inherited debt. The government-cautious approach to borrowing has resulted in virtually zero debt accumulation under its watch, he said. This development is a testament to the government's commitment to sound economic management and its efforts to restore stability to Ghana's economy. Now, St. Ghana has convened a national dialogue on public health emergency financing in Accra, bringing together key stakeholders to discuss sustainable funding strategies. The country director, Harriet Nyama Ajaman, in an interview with the media, urged the government to enact laws for dedicated emergency funds, while others proposed converting the COVID-19 levy into a public health emergency financing levy.
St. Ghana, a leading non-governmental organization, has convened a national dialogue on Public Health Emergency Financing in Accra. The event brought together key stakeholders including policymakers, health professionals and members of parliament to discuss sustainable funding strategy for public health emergencies. The dialogue was necessitated by the need for a dedicated funding mechanism for public health emergencies in Ghana. According to Harriet Nua-Marjiman, Country Director of St. Ghana, the government reliance on contingency funds is inadequate and unpredictable.
The message of our advocacy since 2021 as asking our government to use domestic resources to fund public health emergencies, and that we should look for the money and set some aside for preparation, and then because we still have some in the kitty, when there is an outbreak we go and pick it and respond. If it is not enough, we can seek for additional ones rather than rely solely on our contingency fund, which is contingency for everything and not just health. And so we want government to consider that. We have been saying that for the past 4 years. We have a new government in office. We have already discussed that with them when they were in opposition as a party, and we believe we want to remind them that now that they are in office, they should give this an ear.
One of the proposals discussed at the dialogue was the conversion of the COVID-19 levy into a public health emergency financing levy. This proposal was put forward by Sebastian Sandare, Member of Parliament for Dafiama Busie Isa.
One of the manifesto promises is that the COVID-19 levy will be scrapped. So if that is done, could we look at other possible ways? And what is on the table that publicly people are discussing is probably to see how we replace that with public health emergency fund. But of course, once and the budget will be coming, we have to wait to see what is in the budget and how is government, going to mobilize resources in the midst of cancelling some of those taxes that.
The Deputy Director at the Local Government Ministry, Rex Mainu Yapua, emphasized the need for a law to guide district-level funding for health emergencies.
We should have a law, perhaps passed, so that it becomes a law that you dedicate such an amount. Because as I tell you, there's not any standardized percentage that MMDAs can allocate. It depends on what they decide on. But then if we should have a fixed, such that in terms of their Assembly Common Fund, let's say they have a fixed percentage that can be allocated to this, then of course it becomes a law that can be enforced.
The National Dialogue on Public Health Emergency Financing is a crucial step towards strengthening Ghana's health security. Its outcome will inform policy decisions and guide the development of a sustainable funding mechanism for public health emergencies.
On the foreign front, President Volodymyr Zelensky has received a warm welcome in the UK after his public addressing from the US President. This day for the details. President Volodymyr Zelensky has received a warm welcome in the UK after his public addressing down from the US President. Europe's leaders are gathering in London for urgent talks after the negotiations between the White House and Ukraine went drastically downhill. Alongside their show of support, a clear message for Ukraine to rebuild the diplomatic fences.
Salvage, President Zelensky.
Fresh from a furious exchange in the Oval Office, Volodymyr Zelensky arrives at number 10 Downing Street to a much warmer reception from the British Prime Minister.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position.
Still smarting from his bitter ejection from the White House, the Ukrainian leader flew straight to London for the hastily arranged meeting.
We stand with you, with Ukraine, for as long as it may take.
The chequebook was opened wide with a new message of support.
We're going to sign the UK-Ukrainian Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration Loan Agreement worth £2.26 billion.
European leaders also rallied in support of President Zelensky after his row with Trump and his Vice President J.D. Vance, firmly urging him to get back to the US.
We have to move beyond what happened last night. What I told to President Zelensky is that I said, I think you have to find a way, dear Volodymyr, to restore your relationship with Donald Trump.
Volodymyr Zelensky should return to the negotiating table with the US. He should sit down calmly at the table and negotiate a solution which will make Ukraine safe.
Today, a European security summit in the British capital as leaders come to terms with the new US administration's radically different approach to bringing this war to an end. They'd intended to discuss the minerals deal Ukraine was supposed to sign in Washington, but top of the agenda now will likely be bridging the rift with the US.
We will keep on fighting, we will not surrender, but to end this war we need American involvement, and everybody needs American involvement.
Donald Trump's returned home to Mar-a-Lago for the weekend. He says Zelensky can come back to the US when he's ready for peace. The trouble is the two leaders differ widely on how to achieve.
Well, coming up in sports, Hohoi United extends its lead at the top of Zone 3 with a hard-fought victory to stay. Hohoi United secured a thrilling 2-1 comeback victory over Okwawu United at the Hohoi Sports Stadium. Okwawu United took the lead in the 30th minute with Inti Justice's goal, but William Odro equalized in the 25th minute. Kwejo Boama sealed the win for Hohoi United in the 74th minute, giving them a 4-point advantage at the top of Zone 3. In other Zone 3 matches, Port City recorded their 5th away victory, beating Kings Palace 2-1 at the Arcotex Park. Roland Makwaye and Daoud Rakibu scored for Port City, while Adamu Amadou scored a consolation goal for Kings Palace. FC Nania also celebrated a 2-1 win against Accra Great Olympics at the Nania Park, ended their 2-game winless streak at home. Barcelona cruised to a 4-0 victory against a 10-man Real Sociedad to return to the top of La Liga. Hansi Flick's side are now unbeaten in 15 matches across all competitions, heading into Wednesday UEFA Champions League last 16 trip to Benfica. Holders Manchester United are out of the competition after a penalty shootout defeat. And that's it for sports. We take a recap of the top stories. The Ghana National Fire Service uncovers a nearly decomposed body of a young woman at Sunyani Magazine in the Bono region. And Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has emphasized the importance of moving beyond political difference and historical baggage to foster Ghana's progress. On the international front, President Volodymyr Zelensky has received a warm welcome in the UK after his public dressing down from the US president. In sports, Hohoi United extends its lead at the top of Zone 3 with a hard-fought victory. And that brings us to the end of the bulletin this morning. I am Sandra BOAHEN. For more stories, log on to our website at globetvgonline.com. Up next is CSA. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.